problems with the unstable license. We need to get that, and I think we get that. The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
So it is support that is needed. And once again, support your airline people will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. This is a midweek edition, and with me, as you can see in the studio, is a public affairs analyst, a TV host, and it's economist. It's actually a man wearing three caps, and he's not that person than Mr. Jide Ojo. Mr. Jide Ojo, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me, Winifred. Happy. Is it compliment of season?
This is-
It's still in order.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And I'm your host this week, Wednesday, Winifred Ubebo. On our menu, we have four papers for review. Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. We have the sister publication, National Economy, Vanguard, and THISDAY newspapers. These are papers for review and discussion today, Wednesday. And as usual, we're flagging up with Nigeria's most influential leadership. Let's see what leadership is saying this Wednesday. Let's see what. Oh, sorry, we are having some technical issues. Let me see. Let me read through my phone.
So,
Okay. Leadership. Okay, leadership headline story is on health issue this morning. And it says cancer patients stranded for months at National Hospital over 40 machine. Cancer patients stranded for months at National Hospital over 40 machine. Management claims ignorance of failure of $3 million CT machine since January. Equipment series serves Abuja and Northern Region. Sorry for that. Equipment serves Abuja and Northern Region. Civil society organizations raise concern, want health spending probed. Leadership headline story this Wednesday says cancer patients stranded for months at National Hospital over 40 machine. Management claims ignorance of failure of $3 million CT machine since January. Equipment serves Abuja and Northern Region. Civil society organizations raise concern, warn health spending probed. That is on leadership this Wednesday. Is all about health.
that's your forte, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. When I saw leadership this morning, it reminded me that years ago I also did the same story, and which also came out like this on leadership. I mean, it's a worrisome issue. The fact that a city machine that serves the northern zone keeps breaking down incessantly now and again, and there's no money to procure at least others more.
Well, very unfortunate development there. Our health sector, no doubt, is comatose. We saw what happened last year when a number of Nigerian doctors decided to flee, more or less, leave Nigeria to go to Europe and even Middle East
Mm.
to ply their trade. It is quite unfortunate that we have not prioritized health in Nigeria. Otherwise, how could you have a $3 million CT machine, being out of function for 3 months going, and the manager will claim that they are not aware? It then shows that somebody didn't do his job. At least those who are in the lab should have been able to write the management to say, we have this machine malfunctioning, we need to call in experts to come and fix it, or get a replacement.
Yeah, if you even read the story, the PRO of the hospital said he wasn't aware that he was.
That's what I'm saying. It is very very shocking that an equipment that's that sensitive will go bad, and then the PRO of the hospital will claim not to know. It then shows that it's not been adequately briefed But it's not even briefing him that matters to me. It's the life of those cancer patients. Uh, Many of them cannot afford to access healthcare in private hospitals and centers. This is why you see a lot of people resorting to what they call faith clinic. They resort to faith clinics, go start going from one mountain to the other, seeking divine healing, or as going to herbalists and witch doctors to also seek healing, spiritual healing. Because I don't know why they only have one of such machines in the first
It's
place.
really population.
For the consideration, considering the fact that this one machine is said to be serving the entire northern Nigeria. There are 19 states and FCT in northern Nigeria. So if people have cancer now, it's either they go to private hospitals or abroad. Otherwise, the other alternative for them is to wait and die. We know cancer is a deadly disease. So even with the best of care, the chances of surviving a cancer is 50-50. Let alone when you are negligent and is not receiving prompt treatment. This is why people die needlessly in Nigeria, die like fowl, because our uh, health centers are not well equipped with state of the art equipment. And that's why you see a lot of medical tourism. People going, and the person is even said by the president, cough and catarrh, you are off to. We had the president that practically died in Saudi Arabia. And it's not peculiar to Nigeria, mark you. The Zimbabwean president Robert Mugabe died somewhere in Singapore.
In South Africa, we had the issue of Nelson Mandela. Even when he had a protracted illness,
He was treated in South Africa. It's not even that alone. Look at Cuba. Cuba is, I'm not sure the population of Cuba is up to 10 million. Cuba, when Fidel Castro took ill of cancer, I think either leukemia or cancer, Fidel Castro never left Cuba for any foreign treatment. He was treated there in Cuba, in Havana. You just mentioned the case of Nelson Mandela, who was also treated for many years in South Africa. But here we are, many African leaders are quick to jump on the next available jet to go and seek medical tourism elsewhere, and leaving the rest of the population who could not afford such luxurious healthcare facility to die in installment is very, very unfortunate. And I do hope that this story, which is a human angle story by your newspaper, will attract the needed attention from federal and state, federal government, and even the FCT authority, so that they can quickly do something about this.
Unfortunately, why is it that our leaders keep paying lip service to healthcare? Because remember many years ago when our president took over as a military head of state, he said our hospitals were mere consulting clinics, and that was what he said. Plus a successive government, we've seen cases that they will come and nothing is being done. And why is this so? These machines that we are talking about, most of them were procured during Yar'Adua's time, and up to now, it's so unfortunate that no additional machine has been added.
Yeah, that died over 10 years, about 12 years ago. Yeah. So, you can't give what you don't have. That's just it. If you have a leader who prefers foreign medical facilities to you, so then you know where our priority lies in case of. And I recall that when doctors were living in those last year, our Minister of Labor and Productivity said, we have more than enough doctors, let them go. In fact, it's even better for Nigeria. And you can see that kind of uncharitable remarks. But it's because it can be frustrating as a medical doctor who swore to oath of Hippocratic oath to save life that you are attending to, who should have chemotherapy and all of that. and the machine has broken down. So you know what it is to access private healthcare facility in contemporary Nigeria, where you have to pay arm and leg to be able to, and you don't blame those private hospitals
yes,
too,
also, that's where
because of operational costs.
Because we all know that federal, at least the government cannot do it all alone. Why it's supposed to have private government is not providing enabling environment for private providers so that they can come into partnership to also ensure adequate healthcare for the population.
And ironically,
Because we saw a situation, for example, this FCT, this Gariki hospital, you know, it was privately run with this
but
Dr. Wada, but it has expired, and
yeah,
we don't see the FCT management, you know, trying to even extend it.
No, they don't like that kind of stuff. The irony of it is that you know, we just don't value human lives in Nigeria. We don't value, and that's why we have to pray for everything. Pray for protection, pray for healing, pray for deliverance, pray for daily bread,
Yes.
pray for I
Yes.
should not be sick or
Pray
not.
for-
Pray for, because I keep saying, even for some of us, we pray for everything in
Yes, we
Nigeria.
do.
That's why abroad, people who are Christians, they don't pray as hard as we pray.
They're not taking Christianity that serious.
Because those things are there.
Yeah, they have food is related cheap on Nigeria.
So
You have to
how will
pay for
you
your
be
daily
praying
bread.
for 1 hour for daily bread?
Honestly.
That's not a good use of their own
I
time.
thought about it one day.
And Mark Winifred, another thing we should know. Where is NHIS in all of this?
Exactly, I was even coming to that. You know, that is supposed to be.
If
Unfortunately,
we have
do you know that
national health insurance,
NHIS has not,
does not even cover every cancer. Most
no,
of
it
them.
has not even been able to to reach what was expected, desired back. If you ask NHIS how many enrollees do you have, do you know they have just less than maybe 5 million naira.
5
I
million,
said naira.
but 5 million for
million,
Nigeria.
Exactly. Till date,
Yes,
they still not be able
over
to
20
fly.
years of.
Yes.
So you know that's the challenge. And even my own experience being on NHIS is that there are some, you know, they have categories. They will say
Yes.
silver, gold,
Yeah, it doesn't
platinum.
even cover.
It doesn't cover this kind of treatment. Once they say it's cesarean section, cancer, all this, they will tell you, no, this one does not cover that. If you want to access that, you have to pay
Exactly.
independent.
So
It's only malaria and
Malaria.
typhoid that majorly you go to NHS and then check BP, do diabetes test and all of
And there are still some grades of drugs they give for you.
that.
So NHIS and only than somebody that's paying out of pocket.
That
No,
is
we need to
another challenge.
Over the years, NHS wanted to upgrade this what is called the money that is being paid, but it's still are not be able to achieve it. It's so the whole package is something that is still a sorry sight for Nigerians.
Yeah, because we politicize everything. Excuse me.
So,
Recall that there was a executive secretary of the NHI that claimed that the vice president cannot query you, cannot remove him.
oh yes.
That because he was a direct appointee of the president and all of it. And it was over issue around accountability and transparency in the management of. So you know that kind of impunity when people say, look, I don't hold you. Number two citizen, you know, he just called the man's bluff and nothing. Well, eventually it was removed after a lot of protestations. But what we are saying is that the way we have been implementing NHIS in Nigeria calls for review. And unfortunately, we do not, under this administration, I won't say health is a priority. I don't think so. I won't say that for, because as far as they are concerned, look, neither health nor education is a priority of this administration. Security that is even a priority is not is not giving us the desired result, quite unfortunately. But like I said, I hope kudos to leadership for this story, which is a human angle story. We do hope there will be a follow-up and that this will attract the needed attention to get the CT scan machine either repaired or replaced, so that at least these cancer patients, if not for those who have already gone, whose cancer have already metastasized, at least those who may come down with cancer can be able to access that healthcare facility in a government hospital.
I just hope so, just like you said, because when the first lady also raised the alarm that there was no drug in the state clinic, I don't think anything was done about it.
No, they are building a new one now. They are building, they are expanding the state clinic. I think, was it how many billion was
projected?
They said they are expanding that, but it won't be for this president. Obviously, it may be for the incoming president next.
All right, from health issue, leadership this morning, we are moving over to Vanguard. Let's see what Vanguard is saying. Vanguard is talking politics. Interim government post suspension more dangerous to Nigeria. Interim government post suspension more dangerous to Nigeria. Afenifere, Wondo, Uzodinma, Idobet Forum, Pandef. Interim government call sign of a failed state, according to Afenifere. Nigerians must not listen to Afe Babalola, Okwesi, Lizzie, Wondo. It's call for anarchy, Uzodinma. Not tenable in a democracy, MBF. Babalola's position is distraction, Pandef. And it should be recalled that Afe Babalola had actually called for interim government to enable the government to have a new constitution before election can be held. So, what's your views? And
I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised that a senior lawyer, a senior advocate of Nigeria will be making this kind of call. And to say that he's making the call not against the issue of insecurity, but to have a new constitution, it beggars belief that Baba will be, because this is an octogenarian who is senator, he's a senior lawyer, he's a senior advocate of Nigeria, and he knows that under the military, interim government of Nigeria was declared illegal, unconstitutional, null and void. So why will he be calling for it when we have had 22 years of uninterrupted civil rule? I don't think this is tenable. I disagree with Baba Afe Babalola on this count. We should have the election. In 2015, at the peak of Boko Haram insurgency, we held the election.
Yes,
it was only suspended for 6 weeks, but the elections was held. In Afghanistan for 20 years, that the Taliban were pushed out of power and they were fighting the US-backed government. They were having elections in spite of the Taliban's terrorist attacks all there and there. In Syria, there was an election, even with Al-Assad, or what's his name, so if all these countries could have elections, even insecurity should not be primary, because whether you will even postpone election for 1 year, there will always be issue of insecurity. But Afe Babalola is not even hinging his own call for interim government on insecurity. He's talking about having a brand new constitution. Is it the brand new constitution that is more important to us, or implementation of example? If you have a brand new constitution and the operators are bad, are we going to reap any benefit of that brand new constitution? I mean, I have seen this constitution, 1999 constitution, as bad as it is. It has been tinkered with 4 good times, 4 successful times that constitution has been amended. But the operators, what have they made of it? They have made a mincemeat of it. They've perverted, they've perfected all manner of loopholes just to take advantage of it. The constitutional alteration that was done to give autonomy to state judiciary and legislature. 3 years down the line, or this is the 4th year, many states have not implemented that provision. And it's a constitutional provision. It's not even the Electoral Act. You understand? So if we look at the operators, no matter what, and interim government is a no-no. It's not known to our constitution. It cannot be imported into the constitution at this point. And I believe I'm advocacy for a a process-led, autonomous, and people-oriented constitution should be after the incoming administration will have taken charge. That way, early in the administration, we can have this so that we will have sufficient gestation period for the implementation before the next election in 2027. But no, I disagree with Agbebala on this. I disagree completely.
Okay. According to Pandey, the Babala's position is distraction, and the MBF said it's not tenable in a democracy. That's all we have from Vanguard. Or you have anything more to say?
Well, like I said, I agree it's a distraction and should not gain traction. What needs to gain traction now is how to overcome insecurity of Nigeria. That is of concern to me than even the issue of interim government. And problem not dey finish, as a local musician say. Even if you have interim government for 6 months, it doesn't mean that you have a perfect system after that 6 months. We've gone through this road before. Babalola should not return us to Egypt.
Yeah, still on Vanguard newspaper. Let's see. There's a sub-headline story there. Terrorists kill 3 kidnapped victims. Threatens to kill. Can you, production crew? Can you take the paper up a little? Yeah. Threatening to kill more unless ransom is paid. Vanguard newspaper.
Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. 3 of the kidnapped victims have been killed. Not killed, they have been murdered. They have been murdered, and they threatened to kill more. You know, was it last week we were here and
yes.
you told me of the story. I didn't get to read it eventually, that some people were taking ransom to them and they were arrested by the security agencies. And so now they've started killing those people. And what we have been told is that, the federal government is on top of it, they are dialoguing with them, they are interfacing with them. Unfortunately, you see, this is how Nigerians are dying cheaply, very cheaply. But I pray for the repose of the soul of the victims, and I pray that the others who are alive will survive. I read of the story of a professor in Delsu who was kidnapped, and the family raised 3 million paid. The man eventually died, not in their custody, maybe as a result of the trauma of what he went through. He eventually died, even though he didn't die in the kidnappers' den. So that's the kind of concern I have about issue of security in Nigeria. And it leaves a sore taste in the mouth that we are losing lives, valuable lives of citizens to these terrorist gangs. May God just deliver us from here.
Okay. Leadership and the Vanguard did a editorial on it today. Killings becoming a norm in Nigeria.
I mean, it's the new normal, really speaking. Everything is now statistics. Say 10 killed, 50 killed, 70 killed. Look at last week in Benue communities, in Plateau community, in Southern Kaduna, even in Taraba. I learned there was a bomb blast in Taraba a couple of days ago. 3 people died and about 19 people hospitalized at a drinking joint. That some people, just like what happened at the Abacha barracks, some people came in, sat down, dropped something that not knowing that is an IED, which eventually detonated them. So lives are just been. That's why when people have their birthday and they decide to celebrate, it's worth celebrating because every day is like a gift in Nigeria up to.
I know Nigerians, they can make light of the situation. I saw something that looked like a joke. It said the write-up said by the time this administration is over, hope will be giving letter. Surviving Nigeria should be giving letter certificate of survivor. Having survived this case.
There's another joke that went viral.
They are so creative.
I had to share it on my Facebook yesterday. You know, there is a line in a national anthem that says, I rise a compatriot Nigeria colony to serve my father with love and strength and faith. labor of to serve with love and might, one nation bound in freedom. There's a verse that talks about uh, to defend. That talked about strength. It's one of the national anthem verse. To strength to well, so I just saw that it was a line from the national anthem, and the man said, he cannot defend Nigeria again. No, his own strength, his own body is paining. The entire body is paining. So Nigeria, we still have to crack jokes out of the very bad situation, because that is how to keep hope alive. Not because we are not it, but because if you take yourself too seriously under this situation, many of us are no longer normal. Do you know that? Even for those who are alive, some people's mental health is suspect because of the troubles of this world. How many things many people have to cope with. It's very, very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
All right, let's go to our paper review from Vanguard. We are moving over to our sister publication, National Economy. Banks tackles battle for slice of 38 million unbanked Nigerians. Banks tackles battle for slice of 38 million unbanked Nigerians. GSM operators venture into payment services. Competition will drive financial inclusion, say experts. That is on National Economy. 38 million unbanked Nigerians. That's quite a huge number.
Well, not necessarily. 38 out of over 206 million Nigerians.
Don't forget, maybe out of that 200 million Nigerians, we still have children.
But out of this 38, how did they arrive at this 38 million? How did you arrive at it? But suffice to say that, yes, I don't know how this works yet, but I learned some of the GSM operators are also getting into payment services, offering payment services. Yes, that's what I learned. And you know that we are either to many banks are using their platform to do money, internet banking, e-banking. So maybe they have seen the volume of money that is passing across their platforms and decided that, look, we can also deal with this issue. Let's have a share of this somewhere. But I think it's an evolving story. We need to wait and see how this, because if it's all about financial inclusion, we all need it. There are so many advantages to having financial inclusion.
I think it will even be nice because there's need for new entrants into the field. Because we are seeing some banks that we had. Did you see the story that was trending?
Of deductions?
Yes, a guy who said he was discharged. He went and brought a
musical video, a live band over the weekend. Yes, a Fidelity band. I saw it.
They refused to refund his money.
After complaining. In fact, if you go on social media today, you see a lot of stories of
some banks
deductions.
Yes, that's just
dubious
deductions.
It's very many. Very dubious deductions that you just see debit and for what?
I'm always getting it.
And because there's like 100 naira, 200, you feel that it's not significant.
Small. Exactly.
But look at the number of customers they have.
Where did they arrive at? Even personally, I've just I will soon go to the bank, say bank. I just don't want to call the bank's name. It keeps deducting on his own, and that at times it will even refund some.
On his own.
Because
they think that you have
small,
too much.
maybe 100, 200. You just start deducting just like that on flings. I
think it's either their database that is faulty. But I think this is an issue that the CBN, if Godwin Emefiele is not too distracted with his political ambition, this is an issue he needs to really deal with. Deposit money banks are not fair to many Nigerian customers. They are not fair to many Nigerian customers, and I think the CBN needs to investigate this and weigh the big stick. After all, they are the regulator. But this is the first time I would say a CBN governor being dragged into politics, and the man is more or less giving a body language that is suggesting that maybe he's enjoying it. But unfortunately, the economy is very key in solving many of our problems, including the problem of insecurity. You know, the worsening insecurity is traceable to bad economy. Poverty, unemployment, as a nexus with the issue of insecurity. So if we don't deal with all this exploitation by banks, the issue of fraudulent claims, and all of that, I think it will just not all go well. And the whole essence of having a regulatory agency is to be able to take care of some of these issues that customers are consistently complaining of. So many deductions. They are talking of debit card servicing. What are you servicing with them?
A card that is with you.
That you even paid for at collection point. You pay 1,000 naira or 1,500, depending on the bank. So what are you servicing? You know, but because of the increase in the operational cost of many of these banks, recall that it was on this program we talked about some banks are now closing much earlier than before because of issue of diesel, high cost of diesel and other utilities. So it affected the operational efficiency of many of the banks. But that's not to say you not exploit your customers. Whom you are supposed to serve, you now expect them.
And these accounts, they are deducting, making several deductions. They're actually savings, and savings is not supposed to incur.
Savings, you are supposed to even be credited at the end of every month.
So it doesn't make sense.
So it's the current account that you are supposed to even pay them some service charge for. Do people still use checkbook? You are. Oh, okay. Because I think with e-payment platforms, there's actually no. The one I collected, maybe because I'm too poor to. Because I'm not sure in last 5-7 years whether. What is there to transfer? Sometimes when you are studying, you just do that, it's 0. The thing is insufficient. That's when you know you have to stop. You have to stop engineering when you get to insufficient balance. It's people who are very wealthy that will not quickly, and that's why people are taking them up. Because when Nigerians are poor,
every cover matters.
If you have 5,000 naira there and they deduct, you easily notice.
This alert, you raise up you check your phone, it's messages, and you check it's deduction. You ask yourself, did I make any
deduction?
Nothing. It's very, very sad.
And one thing that I've also seen that is trending is that I don't know whether they are doing it in cahoots with bank officials. It's like even for areas where there are banks, it's not POS business. In fact, in my neck of wood, the number of POS agents you get.
In this particular bank that is in where I live like that you use, the ATM never works, but you have POS that's always there beside bank. You know, it goes to show that they know, the POS knows that this ATM does not work, so you have to come and patronize it. And
you have to patronize
what happens at the end of the day, which is quite unfortunate.
So
the ATM never works.
It's like even the banks have stopped building ATM.
It has about 2 branches in where I live. They don't work. The ATM,
yes,
deliberate.
You know, for some years now, I'm not sure banks are building ATM. Maybe because it's very difficult for them to maintain. I mean, let's be sincere. Cash maintenance takes a lot, given the way we handle our currency. So, you know, some 5-7 years ago, you see banks, even where they don't have branch, they will go and build ATM.
ATM there,
you know, there is one along if you are going Guaripa, towards Guaripa from Panex. If you are going along that stretch, there is a bank that built ATM more or less like ATM lodge. They don't have a branch there, but it's for to serve the people in that area. But out of the 6 or thereabout, only 1 or 2 work for most times. But now people are no longer even using the ATM. They prefer going to the POS.
And POS now is becoming
it's not like pure water, it's like
that. People are
water.
complaining. People that have made deductions at the end of the day, they have their money cleaned out from their accounts. Yeah.
Oh,
it happened to 2 colleagues of mine too.
Oh, too.
Yes.
That's another challenge.
Yes,
if that's true,
anyway.
this is part of what the CBN needs to look into.
Yes.
If this is happening to people,
they carried it. They said they were going to look into it.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate because there are many communities that don't have one single branch of any bank, and it's the POS point that actually has been helpful in helping us to solve that problem.
Okay, from national economy, let's move over to the last paper we have on our main for review this morning, and that is THISDAY. Let's see what THISDAY is offering. Buhari, with advancement in technology, no one can claim millions of votes again. Buhari, with advancement in technology, no one can claim millions of votes again. Urges Nigerians to resist agents bent on destabilizing their country. Meets with governors, ministers, others over ITFA. Insecurity worse now than in 2015, Diri declares. Terrorists killed 3 kidnapped victims in Kaduna, threatened to kill 22 others over 20 million naira ransom. 3 dead, 19 injured at explosion rocks Taraba cattle market. IG orders maximum security in schools, colleges across Nigeria. These are potpourri of stories to be on this day.
Well, the president has not ceased to amaze me. But it's good that he's making this. With advancement in technology, no one can claim millions of votes again. There are people who can still claim millions of votes. The only reason is that there won't be padded votes again. Because Nigeria has close to 100 million registered voters now. As at 2019, we have 84 million.
But there are still some parts of the electoral act that they also banned, like use of GSM phones. So, what is the president talking about?
No. What I'm even saying is that given the sheer number of registered voters, you can still have millions of votes to your name if you campaign very well. What we need of INEC, and all eyes are on INEC, and I pity the leadership management of INEC, because if they fail to perform, Nigerians will have them for dinner.
You think so?
No, the truth is that many of Nigerian youth have invested a lot of emotions into getting the Electoral Act passed. Two of us. Recall that when the issue of electronic transfer of results, when they said it was dancing around it,
and they said no. They actually voted against
people
it.
said, look, it's because we want to rig. No, we did it. So on all fours now, from registration to authentication or accreditation to voting to transfer of votes, fully technology backed. You understand what I'm saying? It's not backed with technology. It is not for INEC to do its own work and start destroying some of this infrastructure ahead of 2023. We are counting down. 2023 is less than a year. And by the time we scale Ekiti and Osun, you find out that we are talking of like 6 months to election. And it should not be at that point that we take, because the commission needs to test run some of its infrastructure, technology-driven infrastructure, like beavers now, When I read yesterday about how many smart card readers were lost, thousands that have been lost. I hope that same fate does not befall beavers, which is supposed to help with the accreditation of voters, because that's where rigging starts. If you don't have credible accreditation process, you can always inflate the figures of
There
votes.
also situation whereby ballot boxes are snatched and they go and trumpet
Those mass trumpings, that's why overvoting now will be benchmarked against number of accredited voters, not against number of registered voters. So all of that, I mean, in terms of legal regime, I think we have a fairer, better legal regime to conduct future elections than we had previously. And that, I believe, is what the president is
Yes,
alluding
that's
to.
right.
That with advancement in technology, no one can claim,
Millions.
because the truth is actually that look at the issue of 45% invalid registration that INEC talked about last week. It is based on the fact that the technology made it available to detect those incomplete registrants or those who are engaged in multiple registration. You get what I'm saying? They just INEC just did what is called it used to be AFIS, automatic fingerprint identification system. Now is automatic biometric identification system. Now the difference between automatic fingerprint identification system and ABIS, which is automatic biometric identification system software, is that while the AFIS can only detect multiple registrants through your fingerprints, this one, the automatic biometric identification system, can detect multiple registrants through facials as well as fingerprint. And that's why INEC was able to discover that 45% of those who registered under the current CVR have invalid registration because of multiple registration issue as well as incomplete registration. That is the good use of technology. In the period that we didn't have this kind of technology, those people will have been added to the list. It will have padded the number of registered voters in Nigeria. You'll be talking of 120 million registered voters. But when only 5 million comes out at election, you say, oh, there's a low voter turnout. Meanwhile, the voter registration database is padded. But what the technology has been able to do for us is that you have a software that you run and detect multiple registrants using face matching technique and fingerprint matching technique. So these are things that we believe that in the future elections, 2023 and beyond, will help to reduce the number of fraud in the electoral value chain. Fraud at the level of accreditation, fraud at the level of voting, fraud at the level of transmission of results. Because the weakest link in all of this value chain is the collation and announcement of winner. So people who manipulate figures usually do not do it at polling unit level because all eyes are on them. People want to know who has won. But when they took it to the collation centers, things, certain manipulations takes place. So the good news is this technology fully deployed, well piloted, will help to deepen and grant us better elections in 2023. But I like what the riders are saying. Issues around insecurity, that is it the jury that called that says the president meeting
says insecurity was not done in 2015.
Well, so that's what the jury is saying. But this meeting with governors, ministers, and there is a raging issue which one of the newspapers I don't want to mention raised is about the implementation of Section 8412 of the Electoral Act. My sister, have you seen Amici in the office recently? Where has he been?
Yes,
We
it's
are
an issue, but why are some
Amici
SAN
has left
divided?
his duty post
For
now.
instance,
Going from
Ozakome said no, that is an infringement. He also has
there's
gone
nothing
far.
like an infringement. I disagree with Lanesi. How can you leave your duty? You are appointed as Minister of the Federal Republic. Now, yesterday he was in Adwekiti and Ife, meeting traditional
Something that you
rulers.
spoke here earlier on.
It's not right. That's what you are saying. That's the intendment. That's why Section 8412 is there. To say that, please resign. Minister of Transportation.
Actually, we have some governors telling their appointees
Yes,
to resign.
to resign. Some have even resigned. I
Yes,
think
some
there is
have
a
resigned.
report that 7 commissioners resigned in
Yeah.
one state yesterday. So what we are saying is that if a minister, a ministerial appointee, has political ambition, let him resign and face his politicking. But Amechi will still draw allowances and salaries. At the end, is it an official assignment? All those ones that is going meeting traditional, is it unofficial? But don't be surprised if he gets paid allowances. That is off duty, be on duty allowances and all of that. This is not right. Let's do the right thing. He's a minister. He wasn't elected into that position. We understood if it's Oshibajo because these are elected representatives. But for you that is serving at the pleasure of the president or governor, they should just have excused themselves. Look, there's also a difference between morality and law. Yes, look at the issue of Adama Abdullahi. He shouldn't have resigned if he doesn't want to resign from Senate. There is no provision in the constitution that says he should resign because he's now the national chairman of APC. But he resigned because of moral burden, conflict of interest. You get what I'm saying? It's going to be the one screening these same people. So why would you, after 11 years, you want to stay put? So last week, he resigned alongside with one of the deputy national chairman. And that's the right thing to do. Even if there is no section 84 subsection 12, for you not to be distracted, as Amici is going about, is using state resources. Because the vehicles that is using, that he says are using, that his media team is using, are possibly government vehicles. Now, it's not as his duty post. He will not be doing governance by telephone. So PS his PAMSEC will be waiting, files will be pending for him. So if he's gone for 3 weeks, 1 month, those payment vouchers, things that he needed to sign, will they take it to the traditional rulers for you to sign them? Meanwhile, there are serious issues with Nigeria's transportation system that he needs to pay attention to. So for me, that's the intent of Section 8412. That look, resign and face your political career. If that is what you want to do, do it. Nobody is saying that is to tell you that you have a right to stand for election. But to say that it's in discrimination to ask you to resign as an aide, no, I don't think so. Because that will be stretching this issue of fundamental rights or discrimination too far. After all, Winifred, it's not every Nigerian that are eligible to vote. If you are not 18 years and above, you cannot register to vote. That's discrimination against 17 years and below. Is that not discriminatory? So, and this is very simple because for purpose of attention to details, you need to be at your duty post. You were appointed. If you want to go join politics, resign. That's the honorable thing to do. Even if there is no law asking you to do so, you should be conscious enough, morally burdened to say, let me face my political career. But it's like eating your cake and have it. Already, APC have scheduled their primaries for next month, 29, 30, 31st. I think, or 30th, 31st. Either two, if it's 3 days, 29, 30, 31st of next month. Meanwhile, all primaries are to end by June 3rd. they are waiting till the last week. Meanwhile, the primaries are started from 4th of April. So by now, go and concentrate on your political career. Nobody is discriminating that you should not contest, but don't use the valuable time that you should attend to your official duty going about soliciting some. And I ask myself, Winifred, those traditional rulers is visiting, are they delegates? Will they be voting at the primary? This is not the time to meet them. The time to meet the delegates is after you have crossed the order and you are now seeking to participate in general election.
Yes, I get
the people you should be meeting now are delegates.
It's party members.
It's party members. So, but what you see now is going to a way of...
They can't before the house.
Exactly. That's my own take. I'm sorry. But he's abandoned his official duty. And the president should have summoned courage to say, look, for those of you in my cabinet who have ambition, irrespective of the fact that the court has not given the final say on Section 84:12, please resign to go and pursue. That's what El-Rufai did. El-Rufai since many other governors, Delta State governors, many of them,
governors are doing that.
Many governors have said, go and 7. In fact, I don't know which state. 7 commissioners allegedly resigned to go and face their politics. So,
it's still the federal ones that are still insisting that they are not.
In fact, the Daily Trust of yesterday said 53 of these 8 have resigned across the country by their own tabulation. By today, I think as of yesterday, another 7 commissioners allegedly have resigned and forgotten in which state. So if the governors are taking that step, irrespective of the fact that there is a pending appeal to the ruling of Justice Oyedika of Abia State Federal High Court, then I think by now...
The governors also feel that is the right thing to do.
That's the right thing to do. For me, it is the right thing to do.
Yes.
Because, yes, we may say for senators, they are elected, as of president, they are elected, so those ones are different. But for those who are aides, whether you are a special assistant, senior special assistant, ministers, commissioners, you should resign and go and face your campaign.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the time just took us to the dot 11 a.m. So that's how it's been on Inside Nigerian Leadership Television this Wednesday. And with me in the studio has been Mr. Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst, Syndicated Economist, and ETV host. Mr. Jide, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me. Do have a
Don't
great
forget
day.
viewers to keep a date with us tomorrow, same station on Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. And I remain Winifred. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.